Hi everyone, welcome to Introduction to Human Trafficking. There is so much under the umbrella of human trafficking that we're not going to be able to cover it all. And I'm not going to be able to elaborate on everything, but I'm going to touch upon like the basic points that is really important. A little bit about me, some background about me is that my name is Raquel. I am a licensed master social worker and a certified trauma support specialist specializing in sexual exploitation and trafficking. I also received trainings with human trafficking investigations, and I really found so much passion with human trafficking advocacy because I didn't realize how much that this happens around us. And it's a huge issue and it's there. And so I couldn't just look away. I wanted to find out how to make a difference. So I then started volunteering with other organizations and am in the process of making my own right now. And it's called Project HCI. It's in the process, God willing, and it's HCI stands for Hope, Change, Inspire. And hope is such an important part of navigating recovery through this. And one thing that's so important to know about all of this as well is that there is hope, on the other side. And I want you to know that you can make a difference too. So the course outline, like I said, I'm not going to be able to elaborate on everything, but I do want you to be able to pick up on the important points, such as like taking action. What can we do? And just as I'm expected to make sure that you have a good learning experience, that you are given appropriate and substantial amount of knowledge regarding this topic, as much as I can for the time, I want you to be able to find value in it as well. And I want you to be able to say, wow, I can take away this from this, or this is something that I didn't know before. Also, to be respectful, because this is such a sensitive topic and subject. And if you feel uncomfortable, to let me know as well. So what is trafficking? Let's get into it. So just for, the two basic statistics that's important is that UNICEF says like this is a $150 billion illegal industry right now. And it's essentially like only increasing. And the ILO is like, hey, there's 40 million people in trafficking right that are being trafficked right now. And half are children. So this is a huge problem that's impacting the vulnerable populations of society. So the basic definition of human trafficking is listed here, which is a recruitment, transfer, harboring, or receipt of a person's by threat, force, coercion, abduction, and so on. This is the most basic definition of human trafficking, and then which the individuals are exploited for many things, not just for sex, because a lot of people think that when there's human trafficking, it's just sex trafficking, but there's a lot. There's labor, there's sex, there's child trafficking, bonded labor, forced marriage, and organ trafficking. All are very prevalent. It's not just like on the TV screen or something like that. They're here, they're around us. So jobs associated with trafficking: strip clubs, porn, domestic restaurants, factory workers with little or no pay, and nail, massage, farms, club, bars. And living in New York City, or living in New York, I'm able to see in New York City like how prevalent it is, and that these are jobs that are really related to this trafficking. And I just wanted to cover this quickly, that there's a difference between human trafficking and human smuggling, not interchangeable terms. Like, so human trafficking is a crime against a person and human smuggling is crime against a border, because what I'm going to talk about next is migrants and vulnerable populations. And I want people to know that, it's not always someone's choice to come across the border. And the migrants that are here are also a vulnerable population. As I'll show you here, they're being taken advantage of. Their housing situations aren't stable, and that migrant women, children, and others are increased risk of human trafficking. So just like that, to continue on with who's vulnerable, people with substance abuse issues, children or family members who have someone in their family that is using substances, that has an addiction, people that aren't really like fitting well in society, or people with low self-esteem are vulnerable. History of running away. It does not take long for a trafficker to find someone who does not fit well in society. This is the participation of this presentation is who traffics, which is the one that traffics here. And the answer to that is all of them. All of these people do. It's so prevalent. Like and it's people that you would never expect. And they involve a family member. It's not always just like a kidnapping situation, like with the van and all of that. Family members, there's e-pimps, which are like social media pimps essentially. And the recruitment and grooming methods. So there's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And when people are feeling insufficient with them, the pimps want them to depend on them for needs. And so they want to provide like love and belonging, safety and security, and try to meet all these needs so someone is dependent on them. So manipulation, simple favors. I put manipulation twice in here, but yes, that is it. And exploitation of authority, of roles in the family or friend groups, meeting the need for clothing or food or something like that. Signs of trafficking. Well, there's behavioral signs. There's a lot. There's behavioral signs such as being like secretive, gang involved, over sexual, and dramatic personality changes. So this is just a few. Then there's labor trafficking specific. So these are like specific to labor trafficking. Feeling pressured by their employer to stay in a job or situation they want to leave. Once again, like force and coercion. Speech signs. Looking and identifying appropriate speech, because sometimes it'll be like, it'll seem very scripted or rehearsed responses. Inability to speak freely. And once again, these are not all the time, but these are some identifying factors. And physical signs. One of the most noticeable one could be tattoos, as like a branding from the trafficker. Also, there's neglect. But then there's also expensive clothing, as in like, oh, like an older boyfriend is buying me all this nice new stuff, like through the process of manipulation and love bombing to get them to go and have like I did this, so you need to do this situation. How many other crimes are openly advertised on the surface web? Well, human trafficking is advertised a lot on the surface web, like not even like talking about the deep web. It's all over the place. So just for an example, 125 increase on Facebook and a 95% increase on Instagram. Those are reports that there's been some sort of recruitment activity. That's for 2020. As I said before, like Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, all this stuff, traffickers are using this to report or even like impersonate people to get to control and manipulate them. So there's a supply and a demand. I know that we're briefly touching upon pornography and its relationship to trafficking right now, but there's a supply, right? There's a supply for porn. There's a supply for porn and there's demand for porn as well. But the supply is that pornography increasing certain types of porn. And then it meets the demand of people wanting different types of pornography. There is this owner of a like sex video or entertainment industry, and he said like that, you know, we need to continue to have these younger people on here because that's what sells. So it's really disgusting, and the supply and demand market for porn, and like here, this is disgusting also, like teen porn has more tripled than 2005 to 2013. I wrote a paper, a thesis on the relationship between human trafficking and porn. There's so much research in it, but also so much more research that needs to be done because they are related. This is how you can help. Okay, so there's the National Human Trafficking Hotline you can call. Also, educate and advocate for trafficking awareness, right? And volunteer. Find places that you can volunteer, support, encourage children to go to school, mentor people, teach men and women job skills, reach out to a hotline, local law enforcement if you find indicators that someone may be a victim of human trafficking, provide resources, and pay attention to where you buy products from. You know, just although it can be difficult, if you're able to find, instead of getting a product where people are being forced to do this, and if you can find one where it's safe and trauma-free, then that would be very helpful for those who, you know, so you don't impact more the victims of labor trafficking. And below are just some for trauma-informed care to learn more about like how you can better assist the emotional aspect of it. So this ends the. There's so much more I want to talk about, but this is all I can get in. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the